Welcome to MOOCs. Myself Dinesh Ranjan Pradhan, working as a scientist at INFLIMNET Center. Today we'll discuss about the model library consortium, INDEST-AICTE consortium under the course ICT for libraries. So objectives. The basic objectives of this module is to study the major functions, activities and services of the INDEST-AICTE consortium. In this module, we'll also discuss about the genesis, membership, resources and services offered with the future plans of the INDEST-AICTE consortium. Learning outcome. After completion of these lessons, the learners should attain a knowledge about the INDEST-AICTE consortium, which provides access to selected scholarly electronic journals and databases in different disciplines to centrally funded technical institutions. The users should also study about the major functions, activities, services of the INDEST consortium. They will also study genesis, membership, resources and services offered by the consortium and its future plan. So basically a library consortium is a group of libraries which partner to coordinate activities, share their resources and combine their expertise. So library consortia offers significant advantages to institutions in terms of lower rates, higher number of journals and document delivery services, etc. So the sharing of resources and collaboration on shared goals often enable the libraries to deliver high quality services than they would be able to deliver in their own individual libraries. These are the major library consortium of India. All these consortium are established by various departments of Government of India. The first library consortium in India was the CSIR Library Consortium, established in 2001 for subscription to Science Direct. A detailed discussion about the different consortium is discussed in another module under the paper ICT. Background of INDEST-AICTE consortium. So the idea of the creation of the library consortium took shape at a national seminar on knowledge networking in engineering and technology education and research held at IIT Delhi in December 2000. The seminar was coordinated by Dr. Jagdish Arora and it was attended by more than 150 participants from engineering and technological institutions from all over the country. Based on the feedback, the ministry decided to set up the expert group in 2002 for the consortia-based subscription to electronic resources for technical education system in India, under the chairmanship of Professor N. Balakrishnan from IISc Bangalore. The Indian National Digital Library in Engineering Sciences and Technology, that is INDEST Consortium, was set up in 2003 by the Ministry of Human Resource Development on the recommendation of that expert committee group appointed by the ministry. The IIT Delhi was designated as the consortium headquarters to coordinate its activities. The consortium was renamed as INDEST-AICTE consortium in December 2005, with the AICTE playing a pivotal role in enrolling its approved engineering colleges. The main objective of the INDEST-AICTE consortium is to provide electronic resources for the centrally funded and other academic institutions in engineering, sciences and technology of India at highly discounted rates. To support and impart training to the users and libraries in the member institutions on subscribed electronic resources with an aim to maximize the usage of subscribed electronic resources, to improve the scientific productivity of member institutions in terms of quality and quantity of the publications. The basic administrative structure of the consortium. The consortium operates through its headquarters set up at IIT Delhi with guidance of various committees. The headquarters act as the nodal agency for increasing the cooperation among the participating institutions. It works under the various committees. First is the National Steering Committee. The National Steering Committee is notified by the Ministry of Human Resource Development, that is MHRD. The members are drawn from various beneficiary institutions under the chairmanship of Director IIT Delhi and Chairman AICT as co-chair. Other members are the Director Technical Education, MHRD, and representatives from National Knowledge Resources Consortium, that is the CSIR and DST Consortium, and DECIDOC e-Journals Consortium, and Member Secretary AICT. The committee is responsible for taking all major policy decisions as well as their execution. The second committee is the National Advisory Committee. In the year 2009, the National Advisory Committee was established by the National Steering Committee to advise the National Steering Committee about various issues faced by the consortium. It plays a key role in decision making of the NSC, that is the National Steering Committee. The National Advisory Committee also helps in selection of e-resources, review of e-resources, and subscription of e-resources for engineering colleges. In order to promote a participatory culture, the consortium invites participating institutions from time to time to discuss the various issues being faced by the consortium for individual institutions. The feedbacks of individual institutions play a key role in decision making and helps in negotiating the terms with the publishers. The Negotiation Committee. A negotiation committee was also established by the National Steering Committee to negotiate the terms, conditions, and price of the e-resources. The consortium involved the coordinators of all other major national consortia for negotiation. Then the National Review Committee. A National Review Committee was set up under the chairmanship of Joint Secretary Technical Education with an overall responsibility for making policies, monitoring the progress, coordinating with UGC and AICT for promoting the activities of the consortium. And the National Coordinator. The National Coordinator for the consortium was appointed by the Technical Bureau of MHRD in 2003. He is responsible for all the operation of the consortium. The National Coordinator is a member secretary of the National Steering Committee, National Advisory Committee, and the Negotiation Committee. Membership of the consortium. The INDEST-AICTE Consortium has three types of members based on the funding of those member institutions. That is, first is the core members supported by the MHRD, then AICT members supported by the AICT, and the self-supported members. Some of the core and AICT supported members can join as self-supported members. The consortium did not charge any membership fees from the MHRD supported academic institutions. Services and activities. The INDEST-AICTE Consortium is not only helps in purchase of electronic resources, there are several other activities that the consortium performs to achieve the optimal utilization of the electronic resources. The expert group appointed by the ministry initially selected and evaluated the e-resources being subscribed by the consortium. The National Advisory Committee constituted by NSC in 2009 regularly met and reviewed the resources subscription of all members of the consortium. Some new electronic resources were added and some were removed based on the demands from member institutions after due evaluation and approved by the National Steering Committee. Another activity is sharing. The INDEST-AICTE Consortium did not subscribe to all e-resources for all its members, so the document delivery and interlibrary loan was therefore a crucial service of the consortium. The JGate custom content for consortium, that is JCCC, designed especially for the consortium, provides content level access to all the electronic journals subscribed by all the IITs, IISc and IIMs by the consortium or by the institutions individually in the beginning of 2003 and up to the year 2011. Besides that, the IITs, IISc and IIMs, the JCCC was made accessible to all other core members of the consortium, including the new IITs, ICERs, NITs, SLIT, ISM, NERIST, IIITs and NITIE. The service facilitated generation of automated interlibrary loan request directly by a user to one of the IITs, IISc or IIMs. While all requests of the article subscribed by the INDEST-AICTE Consortium were routed to IIT Delhi, that is the consortium headquarters, requests for e-resources subscribed by individual IITs, IISc and IIMs were routed to the respective institutions directly. Another activity is the promotion of use of e-resources. The consortium took several steps to ensure utilization of e-resource in all member institutions to justify the amount of money spent for the e-resources. The consortium continuously monitored the usage of e-resources. Each year, various committees of the consortium studied the usage statistics before taking any decision. The consortium maintained a comprehensive website on its activities, services and resources. A template web page was developed and distributed to all the member institutions. The soft copies of the tutorials were made available through the consortium website. The website also provides a link to web-based online tutorials available for these resources. The consortium informed the members to utilize the e-resources in case of there was poor usage of any resources. Then training. Training programs were a crucial requirement that consortium had to fulfill to facilitate optimum use of the subscribed resources. Training programs act as a bridge to facilitate better communication among the members of the consortium and to find answers to common problems. Such programs made users competent to conduct their own searches effectively. Proper training made library staff competent to enable them to provide quality services. On-the-job training programs were preferable not only because they benefited large number of users but also solved the localized technological problems by the experts available at the time of imparting training. Training to members of the INDEST-AICTE Consortium was a decentralized activity. All IITs, NITs and IIMs conducted training programs in their respective regions with financial support from the consortium. All the members of the consortium were also required to conduct training program in their respective institutions for benefit of their users. The consortium signed a tripartite agreement with the publisher of e-resources with a local vendor as third party responsible for providing training on e-resources at campuses of various member institutions. All institutions were requested to take benefit of this arrangement and organize training programs on various resources within their institutions. The INDEST-AICTE Consortium kept a close liaison with all its members. All technical and administrative contacts of each member institutions are regularly updated on the consortium website. Besides that, the consortium also held annual meeting and workshops since 2003 for the benefit of its members. Another aspect is the National Library Information Services Infrastructure for Scholarly Content, that is the ENLIST program, provided subscription of e-resources through centrally sponsored scheme of NME-ICT, that is National Mission on Education through Information Communication and Technology, which was being jointly executed by the IIT Delhi and the InfluNet Center, and its aim was to provide cross subscription of e-resources subscribed by two consortium, that is the subscription of INDEST-AICTE Consortium resources to universities and UGC InfoNet resources to technical institutions, and the access to selected e-resources to colleges. License agreement and fair use. All the electronics available through the consortium are governed by license agreements. All the terms and conditions for subscribing these resources are spelled out in the license agreement. The consortium takes utmost care to protect the rights of the users as well as the member institutions before signing an agreement. It is observed that the terms and conditions of e-resources varies from publisher to publisher. In fact, some e-resources were not considered in the consortium due to unfavorable license agreements. License agreements and guidelines for fair use. The INDEST Consortium website provides information on licenses and fair use to sensitize the users as well as the librarians on issues of licenses and agreements that the consortium signs with the publishers. The website provides details on what authorized users can do and what they cannot do. While most of the publishers allow interlibrary loan, electronic delivery of articles are not allowed. The consortium website put the sample license agreement of individual publishers in order to educate its users as well as the library administrators. Print independent subscription. Subscription to e-resources were print independent in most of the cases except Elsevier Science Direct, AIP, APS, Taylor and Francis, Springer and Emerald. In the year 2010, Advisory Committee devised a usage-based model for Elsevier Science Direct to rationalize the notional subscription among old IITs and IISc, Bangalore. Under this agreement, the print subscription was replaced by a flexible e-subscription. As per the decision, the subscription amount of Elsevier for all the core category institutions remained constant and the subscription amount was distributed among the participating institutions based on the usage statistics. Each institute could swap title to make the subscription amongst the category members as unique. By changing from print to electronic resources only, each institute also got appreciable discount. Then the governing laws and the jurisdiction. The consortium made a concerted effort that all the contract agreement with publishers were governed by the laws of India. Usage analysis. Librarians are using statistics to meet their user needs and make every rupees count. Usage statistics are a valuable tool to know the use of an electronic resource. In the print world, it was difficult to know the usage of the printed journals due to advent of that computer network technology and the various protocols. Now it's easy for library to know the extent of use of e-resources and its journals. Since the consortium invests its budget in the acquisition of electronic resources for the individual institutions, it is necessary to know the utility of e-resource. The consortium is responsible for analyzing and demonstrating their cost effectiveness. Usage statistics also play an important role in decision making for selection and continuation of e-resources. Most publishers maintain detailed usage statistics compliant to an international standard called Counter or SUSI for resources offered by them to the consortium. The usage statistics for member institutes are regularly obtained from the publisher and are made accessible amongst its members on the consortium website through an interface called ERAMS, that is Electronic Resources Access Management Systems. Economics of INDEST-AICTE Consortium. The factors that determine economic viability and cost effectiveness of a consortium based subscription to e-resources are its membership, intensity of usage, successful migration from print to electronic version with discontinuation of print, the cost avoidance and cost recovery. Let us discuss some of the factors used by the INDEST-AICTE Consortium. The annual increase in rates of subscription, that is print journals versus the electronic journals. The members of the consortium have the benefit of price cap for the print as well as the electronic journals on the annual increase in rates of subscription that ranges from 3% to 5%. While the usual increase in price of e-resources vary from 10 to 15% of an institute, but the increase for the consortium ranges from 3 to 5%. Due to global economic crisis, some of the publishers like ASTM and AMS froze their price for the year 2010 and 2012. Members of the consortium have enjoyed the cap on increase in print journal price from 5% to 6% from various publishers like Elsevier Science Direct, Emerald, Group Publishing, etc. As per the agreement with the publishers, some publishers refund the extra amount above the specified percentage, that is the 5 to 6% price cap, to the member institutions. Since now most of the institutions were going for the e-subscription, the price cap remains the constant. Average cost of an article or record. The consortium has analyzed the cost of an article or download of record since its inception as an economic parameter. This parameter has been used to take decision in reviewing the continuation, discontinuation or negotiation of pricing of existing resources. The detailed analysis are published in the annual report of the consortium every year. Using the usage parameters, some of the resources were discontinued from the consortium. The average cost of a download varies among different types of institutions. It also varies from types of e-resource, that is full text to factual to bibliographic databases. A detailed cost analysis is provided in the e-text part. You can have a detailed view of that. Cost avoidance and cost recovery. Cost avoidance on account of lower rates of subscription for the members of the consortium was calculated in terms of difference between the cost paid by the consortium for member institutions for e-resources and the cost payable by individual institutions in case the resources were subscribed by them on their own. The cost recovery is calculated on the presumption that if the electronic resources were not available through the consortium, articles downloaded from these resources by the member institutions would have been sourced on interlibrary loan or document delivery, which may cost $15 per article. That is the average cost of an article taken from a study conducted by the American Research Libraries. You can view a detailed analysis of this cost recovery factor in the e-text portion. Then research output of the core members. Scopus was used as quantitative research output based on citations received by them. The data was collected from all the core member institutions from 1996 to 2011. The whole period was distributed in two parts. One was before 2003, that is 1996 to 2002, and another was after 2003, that is from 2003 to 2011. So the compound annual growth rate was also calculated for both the periods. So after the establishment of the INDEST consortium, number of research publication has increased in multifold. However, the number of publication cannot be considered as a sole criteria for measuring productivity of institutions. Other criteria that may also be considered are like the number of faculties, number of research scholars, patents and research projects, research reports, honors or awards received by the member institutions. Archival access and backup of e-resources under the consortium. Unlike in the print media, the electronic access is made available for the period of the subscription. So the electronic access generally gets terminated as soon as the subscription period is expired, or even for the period for which the subscription was paid. So most publishers have made efforts for archival backup or access to electronic resources if the consortium decides to discontinue the subscription to their resources. There are different types of perpetual access available under this consortium, like the perpetual access to e-resource for subscribed period. The publisher like Elsevier have a policy to provide perpetual access to their subscribed resources for the period of subscription. Some other publishers like Springer, Taylor & Francis, IEEE, Science Citation Index also provide the perpetual access. Perpetual access through backup of CD-ROM are also made available during the subscription period. So backup on CD-ROM is being supplied along with its web-based access for e-resources like ABI Inform Complete and Proquest Science. Backup in terms of CD-ROMs on termination of subscription, that is the raw data. Several publishers like the Engineering Village, Springer has agreed to provide their data on CD-ROM discontinuation of the service. All publishers have been requested to provide full text data on CD or DVD in a standardized format on completion of every year with the search and browse capabilities inbuilt. They are also expected to help in installing these CDs or DVDs on local servers so that the data could be used instantaneously as the need arises. The INDEST consortium, INDEST-AICTE consortium has now been merged with a new consortium formed by the MHRD named as the ESO Sindhu consortium. The eSource Sindhu Consortium has been formed, merging the INDEST Consortium, the UGC Infonet Digital Library Consortium that provides access to universities, access of e-resources to universities, and the INDEST-AICTE Consortium. So the INDEST-AICTE Consortium is presently no more operational. Thank you.